6 of Summerween, and we're playing mermaids. This reminds me of, you know Spice World where the guy comes out of the toilet? Never mind then. I'm currently reading Chlorine by Jade Song, so naturally I'm doing it in the pool. It's a library book, don't worry. I'm keeping it far away from the pool now that I've shown you. Are you just glaring at them? We've got our boba. Rob's in his full snorkel mask. You'll see him in a second. And before it starts raining, we're gonna get our swim in. So I've read the beginning of Chlorine. I read the first chapter in the video I was deciding my TBR. And it was this weird but very intriguing intro. I love books about sports and I love books about obsession. So in this, we have this girl named Ren who is a swimmer at her high school. She swims like competitively and it becomes her entire life, as well as everyone else on the swim team. So there's a lot of talk about the expectations of people in sports, the young women, the relationship between coaches and stuff. And now that I've read a little further in, it is becoming uncomfortable between her and her coach, and I'm wondering how far that's gonna go. It seems like a potentially grooming type scenario that I wasn't really expecting. The book is no doubt uncomfortable for the reader for sure, and I just can't help but think about like somebody picking this up and thinking it's like a fun fantasy mermaid story, and then suddenly they're reading a multiple page scene of Ren getting her period for the first time and having another girl insert her tampon, and just like the horrific nature of that scene. So basically what the book says it is this girl becomes convinced she's a mermaid or becomes a mermaid. And it's not the kind of shape-shifting thing or a transformation that she slowly becomes a mermaid. It's, I think, like a trauma response, and feels like her obsession with the water, she's convincing herself that she is a mermaid. She has like a new name. So I know people have compared, Rob, you can't be in the background looking like that. You have to go somewhere else. You look dead. So I know people have compared it to like the vegetarian and night bitch. But I would say it feels more like, well, yes, those things, but also Black Girl Unlimited. It's like a dark coming of age literary horror rooted in a lot of hardship, and the mermaid stuff feels like a disassociation kind of thing. There is body horror. I have felt nauseated multiple times in the first half. What's especially interesting about this one that I wasn't expecting is it's not just from Ren's perspective. There's someone that she is in a relationship with. This book is sapphic, but I wouldn't say in a romantic way, because Ren is also engaging in other relationships, uncomfortable and unsafe situations, both consensually and non-consensually. We're also getting perspective from that other girl on the swim team. And I just looked at the audiobook because I realized I have the audiobook out from Libro FM because it was part of their affiliate program, and I downloaded it earlier this year when it came out. And one of the narrators for it is Imani Parks, who I love as an audiobook narrator. So I might listen to a bit of this later on. I'm pausing around 2/3 of the way in now. This is a super fast read. But depending how this ends, it feels like it could be a 5-star. It is making me very uncomfortable intentionally, and I like the way it's written, but it's weird because I wouldn't say the prose is particularly impressive or beautiful or anything, but I'm enjoying the way that it's going, and for a debut, I think that's pretty cool. So I will see you when we get home. It feels so good to be home, and not just be home, but like know that I'm not going anywhere for, I don't know, at least a day. I don't know that I have any more to say than I did before. Chlorine is only, what, 235 pages. This is basically a novella. I shouldn't give you any more information than I already have. Just know that it's my perfect amount of weirdness. It almost went too far for me, but that is the intent of the book. It is horror, but when you're following like teens, I just think it will be a questionable read for some people as far as being able to deal with what you're hearing about. But I will absolutely read more from Jade Song. I'm not sure if this will be in my favorites of the year. I'm thinking right now of my favorites of the year. I think I've had like 15 5 stars that feel like in my top 10. But since the quarter just started, I mean, yeah, this is my only 5-star of the month, I think, so far. I'm just glad it happened, and I love the cover so much, and I can't wait to go buy myself a physical copy. I wish I already did, because I was taking pictures of it in the pool to post, and this is covering up part of it, and I should have just bought it so I could take a better picture. But I couldn't have known I wanted to own it until I finished it. So, 5 stars. Highly recommend to a specific audience, for sure. This is not something I feel like I will go on to broadly recommend to everyone and anyone. And I think at this point, I just need to read my last short story, Of a Sliver of Darkness by CJ Tudor. And then I'm officially done with the short story collection, and I can move on to my other one. Good morning, friends. I'm trying to figure out if I have anything in my closet that's festive left for Summerween. I don't know if anything is really fitting the bill. Maybe this one, Save the Planet, Kill Humanity? But I guess we'll go with it. I have a list of tasks I need to complete today, and I think I can listen to one story in each of my short story collections while I do each task. First up is making breakfast, while I listen to the first story, Haunted House Tour, 1 per person.
I was such a loser when I was a kid, like a John Hughes Hollywood 80s movie typecast loser. Maybe we all imagine ourselves as being that special kind of ugly duckling, with the truth being too scary to contemplate. Maybe I was someone's bully, or I was the kid who egged on the bullies, screaming, "Sweep the leg!" Or maybe I was lower than the Hughes loser, someone who would never be shown in a movie.
So I went ahead and tabbed all of these last night for ease of reading, because I'm planning on exclusively listening to the audiobook today for this. The Beast You Are by Paul Tremblay. And it's wild how differently sized the stories are. There's one that is literally 3 pages. And then the last one, the titular story, The Beast You Are, is like half the book. 160, I think, pages, 180 pages. I'm not good at math this early in the morning. But so there's that one, and it looks like it's kind of poetic. Like, I guess it wouldn't have been this many pages if it was told traditionally. So it's probably not going to sound very much longer than the other ones. But the first one I gave 4 stars because it was a haunted house story. It was interesting, but then it just ended in what felt like the middle of the story. So that one was 20 pages. I think I can already recommend the audiobook because every story is narrated by a different person, including some of my favorite audiobook narrators like Xe Sands. Task number 2 is unloading the dishwasher. It only took a couple seconds, which is totally okay because story number 2 only took a couple seconds too. It's just this. That's it, those 2 pages. It's called Meantime, and I gave it a 2, and I said, no idea what the fuck that was. And it seems to have come from the other short story collection he has that I have yet to read called In the Meantime. And if that's an example of the type of story that I can expect from this, I'm not really interested. Because that just like wasn't a story. It was just a scene that meant nothing. But the description in the back, because each story gets a little explanation of where it came from, the idea. A lot of these, maybe all of them, seem to be from other short story collections or magazines, like they're ones that already existed and now they've been combined into this. But it says that the original hardcover run of this, he wrote the story Meantime for the cover. Like the story was printed in its entirety on the cover, but I don't have the hardcover edition. So that's interesting that it was specifically written to fit all on 1 page. Task number 3 is getting my closet put back together. We've just been on vacation for 2 weeks and I did all of the laundry yesterday and then just threw it in a giant pile. So I now need to at least get a good chunk done, just put my shirts back on hangers and into the closet. And I read the 3rd story, which I also gave a 2. It was kind of about a pandemic. It's called I Know You're There. It reminded me a little bit of reading Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin. Maybe it's because we had a main character named David and we just kept hearing his name over and over again. I don't really know what the point was though, but I hung up my clothes, so at least I'm accomplishing something. Okay, I didn't film any clips, but I found my Goosebumps shirt in the pile, so I decided to put that on so I didn't have to go to the library wearing a shirt that said Kill Humanity. So tasks completed. I dropped off bookmarks at my mom's house so she can put them up on the Etsy shop and sell them and live a beautiful life. And I went to the library and then I went to Starbucks and got myself an shaken espresso. Here's what I got from the library. 3 things not on my current TBR, but they came in, so I had to grab them. Today was actually the last day that I could go get them. We got Unlikable Female Characters, which I really want to read, but I don't know if I have time for it. It's nonfiction. I have a fiction novel, The Late Americans by Brandon Taylor. I really liked the last Brandon Taylor, Real Life, that I read. And then I got Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding. I didn't mean to reserve this now. I just didn't want to forget it because I saw it. I have had this recommended to me so many times, and the latest time that I was recommended it, I was like, oh my god, let me just go reserve from the library so we don't forget. And then I meant to change the date that it arrives, and I didn't. But I mean, why not throw this into my TBR? Do I have space for it? Not sure. I feel like this is a pretty nice colorway, and it goes with this book that I did read 3 more stories from to go along with my 3 tasks. Hopefully the next story is longer. Okay, I'll wait until this one, The Last Conversation, because I really need to curl my hair. I read The Postal Zone, which was my first 5-star read. It's genius. It's connected to his Head Full of Ghosts book, which I didn't love, but I know other people do. I gave it 3 stars. My favorite Paul Tremblay is The Pallbearers Club, and then after that, it's The Cabin at the End of the World. And then it's A Head Full of Ghosts, and then it's Growing Things, because Growing Things was one of the worst short story collections I've ever read. So I was hesitant to pick up this, but we'll see if it pays off. So yeah, maybe you should read A Head Full of Ghosts before that short story. Then I read Red Eyes, which I've read before, and then at the end, it's interesting how the audiobook and the physical book are different, because it didn't say, there's no note at the end of it, but in the audiobook it was like, this story was originally seen in Growing Things, and I was like, I knew it. It's so interesting, like which ones were chosen to be in this one. And then I read The Block at the End of the World, which I gave 3 stars, and I like stories that are written in multimedia, so I like that there is a mix of things happening in here. It just ended though, and I didn't love that. And if I'm remembering correctly, that's exactly what I said about Growing Things when I reviewed it back in 2019, is that all the stories just ended, and not on like a fun cliffhanger or one that you could imagine what was going to happen after, but literally felt like it stopped, and then your creative writing like partner, as if this was a project in English class, was supposed to finish the story. Like, you write the first half, someone writes the second half. They're just so unfinished, and it was a little annoying. Okay, so the next 2 stories were quite short, and I just ended up taking a thumbnail and working on it, and then taking a photo of my book stack to represent all the books that I read for the readathon. And then I curled my hair, and now I'm here and I'm ready to go live. Everybody is waiting. The story called Them was only a couple pages, and it was like a pitch, like for an idea, and I quite liked it and gave it a 4. And then House of Windows was a 4, and it was the most fun I've had in the collection so far. And then the one that was really long called The Last Conversation, I also gave a 4. It was really confusing, really long, but it had a good payoff, and it perfectly aligned with something that I tend to like, but giving it away would be a spoiler. I think this was definitely one of the strongest short stories that I've ever read from him, even though I gave it a 4, just because maybe it should have been a whole novel. I don't know. My next task though is just hanging out with these lovely people. So let's go live and do that. Hello everybody. Welcome to my live show. Welcome to the last day of Summerween. Okay, the live show is over. We were hanging out for 3 hours. I always feel a renewed sense of like connection and passion for reading after talking to the besties, and I'm very excited to finish this. So I read quite a few short stories. There were multiple in a row that were 5 stars, so I gave Mostly Size a 2. It was too short, and then it just ended. But The Large Man, I gave 5 stars. It had Piranesi vibes. And then I read The Dead Thing. It was very weird and psychological, and I really liked it. And then Howard Sturgis and the letters and the van and what he found when he went back to his house. That was also a 5 star. It was very strange. It was one of the most uniquely told stories. Like, you just got so into the character voice right away. And it was this guy who got this letter thanking him for something that he didn't do, and then what happens after that. It was so weird and so good, and I think it should have been its own novel. And then The Party was like a 3. Again, it was a little too short. I think my perfect short story is 20 pages. And now I'm finally getting into the last one. So it feels weird that I'm like 14 of 15 stories in, but I'm still only halfway through the book. But I think I can wrap this up easily. And then I still have time to watch The Bear with Rob tonight. I think he just pulled in the driveway. And we've been watching this show so we can watch season 2 when it comes out in just a couple days. And we're both liking it. And we like never agree on shows. First of all, it's hard to get me to sit down and actually watch a show. So the fact that we got through 3 episodes last night was a feat, and I'm still enjoying it. And before I fall out of love with enjoying it, I need to finish the season, and then we can get into the second one, which has Will Poulter, whatever his name is. I've seen some interviews with him on TikTok talking about how much he wanted to be part of it, and like it gave me a passion for the show. Also, that live show was super successful because I made 2 different plans and invited 2 different co-hosts to participate in the Literally Dead book club. The announcement video for the next couple picks will be out in just a couple days after this, but for my channel members, they got early information about it, and I don't have any co-host planned. So that's what I need to do in the next couple days, get all that organized, but I just did in the live show. Got a couple things figured out. Thank you. I know for you, it just looks like I drank one of these, but that was 5 hours ago now. What a guy. Okay, see you in a sec with my final update. Oh my gosh. Wait, I still need to read a short story from the CJ Tutor. I said I wasn't gonna read this short story collection until I finished that one, and then I didn't finish that one. How embarrassing. I am sleepy, but Summerween is over. We did it. We finished, we read everything. Did we complete all the challenges? Not sure. I did watch 2 episodes of The Bear tonight though. I read the last story I needed to in A Sliver of Darkness, and I gave it 3 stars. And the last story in The Beast You Are, I gave 4 stars. It didn't feel like it was written in free verse, but perhaps it's just because of the narrator or the speed that I was listening to it at. It just read like a traditional kind of story. It was about animals as if they were humans and like cults. We went through so much time and it was just generally interesting. It's funny how I'm giving both short story collections the same rating, but for completely different reasons. They're both getting a 4. This one because all of the stories were either a 3 or a 4, and this one because all of the stories were either a 2 or a 5. Like these were all just good and okay, and these were all bad or fantastic. You know how there are some authors that you could pick up any book, any short story, and they just have such a distinct voice that you immediately recognize, that you could pull a story of theirs out of a stack. You know, like pick up an anthology and you immediately, without even their name being attached, know which story was by an author that you've read from before. Paul Tremblay is not that guy. This collection feels like it was written by 2 completely different people, and all of his books feel like they're completely different stories and different voices. Like I feel like it's a positive thing because you can pull, it's like an actor being able to pull off so many different characters, right? And when you're watching it, you're completely lost in the character because they're so talented. So like I want to say it's a good thing. I also feel like it's a negative quality because he's so inconsistent. But I'm glad that most of this went well. My favorite read of the week was Chlorine by Jade Song. The hardcover is expensive for what it is, $37 for this little one. Tell me why the little hardcovers and the big hardcovers are now the same price. So that was a 5. We had 2 4-star short story collections, 2 4-star weird haunted stories. This feels more like a 3.75. The more distance I have from it, I need somebody to pick this as their book club selection. If you read weird horror thrillery stuff, do this one so I can attend the live discussion, because I know a lot of people were commenting that they want my full spoilery thoughts, and I just think we're itching for like a grander opportunity to talk through everything that really went on in here. And then I had a 3-star and a 2. We're calling it a 2. I saw somebody has this as their upcoming book club selection, and I'm worried for all of you, but maybe it'll go better for you than me. So that was my Summerween. I hope yours went well. Let me know your favorite book that you read this week, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.